everyone, I'm Ari here with Rachel and we're your hosts for the Merry Writer podcast. This week we're on episode 335 asking how long should you research before starting a book? Before we start, don't forget to visit and follow our coffee page where you can get access to lots of goodies for free. If you're in a position to support us, you can actually become a Merry Writer for just $2 a month and get access to exclusive content. Everything that gets earned on coffee just goes back into keeping the show going, and we do appreciate any support. Okay, so research. Obviously, not everyone has to research, but we're going to talk about a little bit about research. And I'm going to get Rachel to do her point first because it works as a better point than mine did.
I thought you were going to explain a little bit more. I didn't realize I was going to jump right into talking, but hey, here we are. How long should you research before starting a book? I don't know. There's no clear answer to that. So, episode over. I honestly think that, you should research to your heart's content. And also, research can be done at any stage of the writing process, provided that you don't turn your research into a procrastination project, because that can definitely happen. But I know Ari's going to talk about that a little later, so I'll leave that to her. That said, I do think that your genre can also dictate how much you should research and when. And I will insert my mystery genre spiel here. I write cozy mysteries, and I think it would be extremely difficult to write the first draft without having any idea of what the investigation process is like and what forensic science is like and all of that fun stuff. I think there has to be a certain amount of knowledge that you need to have in order to write that first draft, in order to write that second draft. Can you sit down and, put in bolded brackets, like, insert clue here? Sure, you can, but I think that would make the editing and the revision process so long and it would just drag. And I think you would end up making more work for yourself in the long run. Likewise, I think you need to research assuming you're writing a murder mystery, I think you would need to research the method of murder before writing, because you can't kill a character in your first draft and say so and so dies because of this, and then leave it at that and then just try to fill it in later. I guess you could if you really wanted to, but again, I feel like that would make the editing process go so long and you would just dig yourself into this deep hole of like plot holes, I think. I think you need to really research the method of murder, and because that was my other point. If you don't research the method of murder, then it makes the investigation process all that more difficult because you have no idea what type of clues and evidence the detective needs. And then you're just writing in circles and it's just very difficult. So, I mean, that's just one example. Obviously, that doesn't cater to every single genre, and like I said, you might not even really need to do any research before writing your murder mystery. Totally up to you. I just find that it's easier. I think there's a certain amount of research that you need to do. And obviously, if you're writing a series, or even if you're just writing murder mystery standalones, but you've already written a couple, then some of that research you won't even need to do, because hopefully you'll have a good understanding of what the investigation process is actually like at that point. But I also think like the research is, as you write, you'll realize that there are other things that you need to know for the book that you don't actually know. So you certainly can research in the middle of writing the first draft, but that could very well disrupt the flow of writing the first draft. So I would recommend you write the first draft and then you do all your research and then you input that information in your revision process. I think for certain genres, there's a certain amount of research you should do before starting that first draft, but I also don't think it's needed for a lot of projects, especially for pantsers. I mean, obviously, if you're outlining, I assume research is part of your planning process. But so I don't know. It's not, there's no clear answer to this. It's not, you don't necessarily have to research before you start a book, but if you do, try not to do it for too long. Like, give yourself a deadline. Only give yourself, like, I don't know, 2 weeks to get all your research done before you start writing, because otherwise you will research until the end of time if you're like me. And then you never get anything done.
You literally just said my next point.
No, no, no. I said I'll let Ari talk about it. Wait, what is your next point?
And then you literally just said it.
I'm so sorry.
Wow.
This
Wow.
is what you, hey, this is your fault. You let me go first on your
Wrote all
episode.
my
So
notes, let her go first, and she just steamrolls me. I mean,
I
jeez.
didn't read your notes.
I am well aware of that.
Well, I read the bolded parts. So I saw don't get stuck in the rabbit hole. So that's why I was like, I'll let Ari talk about it. I didn't, you can,
I'm still saying it. Yeah.
you
I'm
can
just gonna.
dive deeper in that rabbit hole and explain further because,
This is meant to be a quick episode, and Rachel's giving me more work.
yeah.
As Rachel said, you've got to be careful with research because you can end up down the rabbit hole. You can end up researching over and over again. You can do that thing where, you'll start with good research. You're on a specific topic that you need to do, and then you end up trailing down to other articles and videos that are linked in. And suddenly it's been a week or maybe 2 weeks, and you've actually done little research on the topic you needed, but you have covered an awful lot of awesome but totally random topics. And I'm not saying that that won't be useful down the line. Maybe finding out how swordfish mate could be really important later on. Maybe you actually were like, I'm going to write a pirate story and there's going to be swordfish in it and maybe it's going to be a mating ground. I don't know. So sometimes the rabbit hole can give you some fun ideas. Other times it's just like you just wasted your time. We're good at procrastinating with research. So yeah, that's not great.
I need to look up how swordfish mate now.
I haven't actually researched that. It was the first thing that came to mind, probably because the things I ended up researching by accident by going down were probably worse than that. you know? So I just picked something random. I mean, it's a fish, so it can't be that difficult. It's not like octopus. That must be hard. How do octopi do it with all those tentacles and beaks and everything? So
I don't know, but that sounds dirty.
that does
The
sound
way,
dirty.
the way you just said that.
What, all the tentacles and beaks, you know? Just I mean, to be fair, octopuses don't like each other. They're kind of like they're not
Oh
great
yeah.
animals together. So, it's like it must be quite hard for them to mate for the fact they don't actually like each other at all. So,
Yeah, because I
yeah.
think the female octopi like throw rocks at the males to get them to
Yeah,
go
probably.
away.
I
I
should be picking
support
up tips for
that.
that. Yeah, it's like we are pro octopus. Oh look,
Yes.
we've gone down our own rabbit hole on this podcast. Honestly, I could talk about octopus all the time.
We never practice what we preach on this show. Like half of our episodes, we end up talking. Like I think a lot of our episodes, it's like 5% of the episode is the actual topic, and the rest of it is just us shoot the shit. I don't even
Yeah.
know.
I mean, to be fair, this is what people listen for. Nobody's here for our information.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And I mean, this is our problem. This is our third episode that we are recording today, and we chit-chatted for an hour before we started recording, and that's never a good idea.
We
So,
bitched for an hour. We didn't chit chat. We were
yes.
bitching about things and getting it all off our chest.
Yeah, so you know what? We're in a mood, and that's okay. I do want to add to what you said about don't get stuck down the rabbit hole. What did you say about the internets? This is why I have Scrivener. On Scrivener, I have a little, gosh, what's it called? I have its own tab, and I just have a list of resources. And some of the list is books, some of it are like internet websites. Internet websites. Yeah, that's a term. And I just have like a list. I have a long general list of these resources and research for my series as a whole for for my perk up series. And then I have another tab underneath that's information specific to the current book that I'm working on. So it's like I have like a huge like there's this website called drugs.com and
I
it
like that
has
website. It is great.
yes, it's beautiful. It's all the drugs, all the side effects. If you want to poison somebody, that's where you want to go. And so I have that, but then I have in the other tab that's specific to that book, I have like links to drugs.com to like the actual specific pages. So I have the resource as a whole, and then I like niche it, narrow it down a little bit. And it sounds really confusing as I'm explaining it right now, but it works for me.
No, I think that's quite clear. And I think that's a really good way of like keeping track of it. So you're not having to like, you've already got it listed if you need to reference it again or anything. You have that kind of like resource that you've already created as a link. So yeah, I have to admit if I get any certain resources, especially if I'm looking for something specific on like a whole article that's covered lots of things. And I think, you know what, some of that other stuff might be really useful. So then I'll put the link in again so that I always have a way to go back to it. Because otherwise, I mean, years ago, I would never remember to save links. And I'd be like, that was a really good website. What was it called again? And, zero memory over here would get no
Yeah.
idea. And once it's gone, you'll never find it again, especially nowadays with the search. No chance. It's just
Oh,
gone.
absolutely not. Yeah. But that's what, yeah, sometimes if you only just need like a paragraph from the article, like copy and paste the paragraph into Scrivener, but then obviously cite the source and put the link to it so that you have it for later in case you need to dive further into it.
Yes. Yeah. And that's kind of good because it kind of leads a little bit to my next point, which is the methods of researching. I'm not going to go into deep methods. I'm going to talk about two ways of researching. And the first could be that you, especially if you're an outlier, sit and make a list of things you need to research first. So, like Rachel said, if she's doing a murder mystery, it might be police procedural information, it might be types of weaponry, it might be types of murder, it might be symptoms of those, like those murders. So if someone's been killed with like mercury poisoning, how does that show up on the body? Things like that. It might also be information about how a pathologist does the autopsy and things like that, and like interview techniques and whatnot. So you might be like, yeah, I'm going to do all that. But that's great, and that's one way you can do it. You can create a list, and then you can build up your own creative research file where you have everything information. The other way to do it is you could just write the story, and as you're writing, you could make notes like, oh shit, I need to be able to remember this, I need to research that, or you could stop halfway through and actually start researching. Depends on the sort of person you are. Some people like to do all the research. Some people like kind of almost sit to the pants as I get to something. It's like, oh, I need to know about that. I'm just going to deep dive into an article for 4 hours and not write. Not always the best way. And do things like that. Figure out the best way for you. But also, there will probably, even if you did the first way, there's probably other ways, there's probably other information that pops up. Because if you will take the murderer's mystery again, so maybe you've got all your information about police procedurals and pathologies and pathologies, how the pathologist works, and murder and weaponry and all this and symptoms. But maybe one of your suspects runs a casino. Do you know how a casino's run? Do you know how things are done? Do you know the sort of staff you have at a casino, where the security would be? How, things like that. So you might not have thought of that. Or maybe they're going to a horse ranch. And do you know what a horse ranch is like? Would you know about anything like that? Maybe there are, I see this, this is me trying to remember any cozy mystery. Maybe the betting track. How does that work? How do people react like that? Things like that. So you might not have thought, oh wow, I might need to know about that. But that might pop up later. So you could start off with the obvious and then filter it in. And seriously, it's like not all research is the same. Some needs deep dives, some just needs the basics, especially if it's a shorter scene or it's a quick character. But definitely try and get some information. Don't be like, well, I've never been to a horse ranch. Nobody I know has ever been to a horse ranch. I'm just going to write what I think it's like. Don't do that, because somebody will have gone to a horse ranch and will read that and go, this is completely wrong. Not even how you do that. That's not what you call those things. So that's why we should research even little bits. You got anything to add to that?
No, I think I did, but I lost it.
You could have written it down, but no.
If I had written it down, then I would have tuned you out. And I would have completely not even, no.
Kind of feel like you probably did that anyway. Like you get this drifty eye going on, and it's like, oh no.
I did drop my ring, so I had to pick it up. And I lost track of what you.
Rachel, killing me, dude. Killing me. Okay, then this leads on to my next point. I have too many points, which is the internet. I can't help myself. With the rise of AI slop articles, please take care when doing your research via the internet. Personally, I'm starting to move towards the concept of using actual reference books that were produced before AI slop, or at least good quality ones, even if they're newer. But obviously, if you are using the internet, which let's be honest, it is quicker and easier, please check your sources. And you can't just go, well, I checked it on 2 websites and they both said the same thing. Yeah, a lot of articles are now being written by AI and they're literally just scraping each other. So AI is known to hallucinate. It's known to write articles that are rarely checked by the person who prompted them. I'm not going to say written them because they didn't write it. It was prompted. And I don't even care if they went in and then tweaked it. It's still AI crap, and I'm against that. So just be aware of the information you're finding online. Look for good, solid sources, reputable sources. Reach out to people who have, especially if you're doing research about any type of occupation or skill. Find people with those. You can speak to them. You can interview them. If it's about certain groups of people or cultures or anything like that, there are good sources about that. If you are looking for information, say you are talking, you're writing something, and entomology. Wait. I always get entomology and etymology wrong. Give me a minute. Right, entomology. Say you were doing something where you needed to know about insects and you needed to learn about that. You could reach out to an entomologist. Some people who are, especially if their passion projects are into these things, they love to share their information, So if you are doing like a Silence of the Lambs where you need to know about like moths or something, then find someone who's really into moths. And I guarantee most people are really super happy to talk about things that they're really interested in. I chose moths because I really like moths. Seriously, I can talk about moths way more than I should be able to.
I remember what I was gonna say. I'll
Oh,
let you
go.
finish your thought though.
I don't know what my thought is. Don't use AI and be very careful about anything written in AI. That was mainly what it was. Go.
Can we start a fun fact podcast?
What?
A fun fact podcast.
Okay. You want to give us more work?
Yeah. I think it'd be, well, we can talk about how swordfish mate. We could like that could be the first episode. It could be all about like the marine biology. Jellyfish don't have eyes.
They don't have most organs.
I know. It's crazy. They don't have hearts. They don't have lungs. And scientists are baffled that they're alive.
But they're so unusual, is it jellyfish, that they could actually live forever because they have a lot of them have like a regeneration and they could just be
Yeah.
so brainless apparently works really well. Brainless people
I
live
know. Wouldn't that
forever.
be nice?
So we're just going to talk about sea creatures because again, I love my sea creatures and I could talk about
I think we should.
especially the weird ones. I love the octopus. I love the jellyfish. I love the sea dragon and the seahorse. And the sea slugs. They're so pretty.
Ah.
Why do we not have cool like garden slugs? They're always brown and yellow and boring colors. But then you get the sea slugs that are
Yeah, but they're
beautiful. Oh,
cute.
they are. I'm not against, mollusks. I'm not against garden mollusks, even when they're eating my sunflowers. But like the sea slugs are beautiful. They're like bright colors and they've got like ripples and oh, if you haven't ever looked at them, Google, well, don't use Google. Google's now shit. Do a search for sea slugs. They're so cool. Okay.
I should look them up in real life because I've caught sea slugs in Animal Crossing, but I don't think I've ever seen one in real
No.
life.
Well, as in a photo. I don't think you're gonna go into the water and start like
Well, yeah, like an actual photo, but I think we should do that. That was my thought. It had nothing to do with the episode.
Rachel's trying to give us more work to do. I mean, we could just do like an end of the episode, like, well, here's a fun fact today, and then just blurt something out. Like, I suddenly forgot every fact in my head.
Because we already said all of them. Say a fun fact about a moth. Tell us something about a moth.
I think was it moths came first before butterflies? Butterflies evolved from
I
moths.
don't
I
know.
think this is it. I take a lot of information in, but I'm old now, so it doesn't all sit there. But I have a weird feeling that moths came first, and yet everyone's all like, butterflies are so pretty, and they are. But moths are pretty too.
Oh, they are,
Don't get
yes.
me wrong, most of them seem to be beige, and it's really hard to identify them, even when they look quite unusual, because I've been trying. But yeah. And a lot of moths can't eat as moths. All their eating was done as caterpillars, so they have no way of eating. They live as moths just to mate, and that's it. They can't eat, so they don't live very long.
That's kind of depressing.
It is depressing. Sorry. Okay, there's a hummingbird hawk moth. It's quite big. It's about the size of your thumb. In the UK, I don't know if it's anywhere else, and it literally flies like a hummingbird with its little wings, and it hovers, and it's got a long proboscis that it uses to eat. And I got a video of one. I was very pleased.
Oh,
They don't look like hummingbirds. They're not really colourful, but it's really cool watching it just like hover.
yeah, I think like last summer I saw something, it was like a hummingbird bee or something like that. Really freaked me out. And I Googled it and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, yeah, I like bees too.
I love bees." Yeah. They freak me out sometimes, but I do like them.
I think if they go in your face.
Well, yeah. Yeah, well, 'cause they always come out of nowhere. You just hear the buzzing real
Yeah.
quick and then they're like boom right on your nose.
And they can't fly well, a lot of them. It's kind of like just like some sort of drunk person, just like
No, the poor things. I think like on a windy day they just get knocked around.
yeah, their ballast is not great with their wing size, especially the bumblebees, their wing size to their butt size. It's like, who designed that? That's terrible
I
design.
know.
But yeah, so this is an interesting episode that we've just decided to throw insect and marine biology facts
I
or just questions.
I think we should do a writing research podcast where every episode we do a bunch of research and then we just share fun facts about a particular topic. Yes, this is a good idea, Rachel. Good job. That's right, Ari.
This is why we never get our books done because Rachel's always finding new jobs for us to do. You know, I mean, the fact this podcast is still going after 6 years, probably should have died a death by now. But now she's adding more podcasts as if it isn't such a time suck. We love our podcast, but it takes a lot of effort, especially when we're wasting time talking about bees.
I know. I'm so sorry. Ari's gonna edit this episode. You gotta leave
Oh
all
my
of this
God, I
in
am.
though.
Oh God, yeah, it's all going to be in. It's like we'll give you credit to anyone who gets to the end of the podcast, listens to this nonsense, and then in the comments, like tells us what their favorite like bee is or moth.
Yes, yeah.
No other else. I don't want photos of other insects because I don't like all insects. So just let's
Oh
just be
yes,
careful.
yeah, no photos, but tell us a fun fact about something.
Yeah,
Or a sea
or
creature.
tell us a fact about marine creatures. Give us
Yeah,
some weird fact, and then we'll know you've listened the whole way through all
I
this
know.
nonsense and didn't just go, "Oh my gosh," and just check out like we're doing.
Oh,
Okay, I
we're
think we should wrap
amazing.
this up.
I will wait, hold on. To actually go back to the episode for a second, you mentioned about the internet and AI and stuff like that. Get books, which Ari did mention. She said use actual reference books, but I will say I have recently discovered the For Dummies books. I never really looked into them all that much because I thought the title was kind of a little off-putting, but those books have a ton of good like information in them because one of my characters is a botanist and it actually pertains to the mystery in a later book. So there's a book called Botanist for Dummies. And I got it
Oh
from the
yeah.
library. And I didn't take notes on it yet because it's for another book and I'm not working on that book right now. And I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole, which we told you guys not to go down. So I'm actually practicing what I preach for now. But I do know that that book exists so that when I'm ready to do that research before I start writing the book, I'm going to read through the entire Botanist for Dummies book and take notes because I'm a nerd. But it's fun. And then we can have a fun fact about botany episode.
Yes, we can. There's going to be it's going to end up being a fun fact at the end of each episode.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Also, obviously, books can be expensive, especially reference books. So use your library, like Rachel said. You don't have to buy every book. But if you get like a really special interest, and you're like, I'm going to keep a book like that, then go and buy it because that's great.
I mean, if it's something
I
you're
have
gonna
so many
reference
moth
to a
books.
lot, then it's worth it to buy it.
Well, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like I have several like pirate ones and ones about castles because I write a lot of
Yeah.
castles and I'm obsessed with it being like correct. Well, as much as I can because every now and then I throw my own details in, but get really obsessed about what everything's called. And then people read my books and go, "What does that mean?" And I don't think you meant to use that word. And I had to literally put a note on my manuscript saying, "This is the correct word. Please don't talk about it."
We could do a
So,
podcast episode all about castles. Now she's interested.
well, sit there drawing on a whiteboard. It's like, hey, this is what a castle should look like.
Yes.
This is the difference between a castle and a fortress.
Oh, see?
Anyway, this is a long, painful episode. And we're so sorry to anyone who got this far. We'd like to hear your thoughts if you're still listening.
All the thoughts.
Chat to us about whatever the hell you want, because this is just the worst episode we probably ever did. So doesn't matter. Share whatever you want. Remember, we do release new episodes every Wednesday. Oh, yeah, we're back. Next week, we're interviewing another author on our show. Yes, people actually do agree to come on our show. To ensure you don't miss it, hit the subscribe button on your way out. And if you'd like to learn more about us and our weird facts, you can check out our website on the merrywriterpodcast.podbean.com and our coffee page for more content. Do you want more content? Maybe this is enough. Thank you so much for listening to the Merry Writer Podcast. We will see you next week. This podcast is brought to you by Cute Mugs, because we're addicted to tea and sometimes coffee. Rachel. The music titled Inspire is by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons 4.0. Boom.